Ramaraji, if you're saying something, you're muted.
No, I was talking to my hospital. I had a call from the hospital. Yeah. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. So yesterday we stopped at this. But before this, I was just wanting to share, just by listening to the chant of the Bhagavad Gita, um, I know not all the meanings were coming through, but especially for the Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga, most of it is like understandable, no, for most of us who know a bit of Sanskrit and some meanings. So it was as if having a actual, um, of course, imagining is one, but it was very beautiful. Just listening to the whole flow of the Vishnu Rupa Sandarshana Yoga, and yeah, I think we should once in a while do a nice chant.
Yes, Brahmaraji, Hari Om. It was very beautiful and we should have it repeatedly, I request.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. And I would like to add, Nanaji, at the end when he concluded, he said, for tomorrow, I'm very, and I mean, curiosity has increased because Nanaji has said that you drop all your knowledge so far and whatever little doubts or whatever questions or challenges we had, you drop everything and come tomorrow. So I'm very enthused to look forward.
Correct. So we should drop everything in all whatever is there in our head, become empty basically, and then sit with that innocence.
Me too.
Yeah.
And
excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to share something interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so my chanting was the first, right, 7:30, and I have this other class starting at 6:30. So I was in a dilemma, but I thought, okay, I'll skip that and do this. Though in my mind there was a guilt of missing that. At night, around I think close to 10 o'clock, I get a message that today's class is cancelled. So that guilt is gone.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was like to miss that also, I feel a little odd.
Right.
So that automatically happened. That got cancelled. So peacefully, I could attend here.
That is what, no? So when you're in this space, the cosmos makes everything happen.
Yeah. So many times it's happened. This was another miracle. And this class never gets cancelled. It's one of those rare, very, very rare. I think in the last 2.5 years, maybe the second or third time it's happened.
Oh, so see, it happened only for you.
Yeah, looks like.
Beautiful. Nice. So yesterday we stopped at this. We said Brahman is Nirdeshyam Avyaktam, and it is beyond, it is Shabda Agochara. It is beyond words. It is not something that can be experienced. It is something that is revealed by the words of the Shastra. And we talked about the immediate meaning and implied meaning. So once you say implied meaning, one can think that it can only be implied, not directly known. But the implied meaning of a word can also give direct knowledge. The example given was the white runs. If you look at just the literal meaning, it is just the white run, Shveto Dhavati. But the implied meaning is the white horse is running. The person to whom it is addressed understands that the white horse is running. In this context, white implies white horse, and the knowledge that arises is immediate. When a word is meant to imply something, it may take a moment to recognize the implied meaning, but not when the sentence is Tattvam Asi. It is a simple statement of fact which removes ignorance of yourself. Brahman is not a thing, it is yourself, the self because of which you are studying this book. That self happens to be Brahman. The one who is reading the book is Brahman. Shastra makes you recognize that I, the reader, is Brahman. And this Brahman is Avyakta, not manifest as an object of any pramana. Even Vedanta pramana does not make it an object. Though through Vedanta pramana, Avyaktam Brahma can be immediately known. Upon this Brahman, these sannyasis contemplate Avyaktam Paryupasate. So, what is Nirguna Brahma Upasana? Shankara gives the meaning for Upasana in general. Upa means near, Asana means sitting. So, Upasana is sitting near. What is sitting near? The mind, Manaha. Near what? Whatever is the object of meditation. Upasya. The point is, it is purely mental. Mentally sitting near or dwelling upon the object of meditation is upasana. To define it further, Shankara says, upasana is to be done without transgressing what is said in the Shastra, Yatha Shastram. It encompasses neither less nor more than what the Shastra says. By mentally objectifying the object of meditation, in keeping with the Shastra's unfoldment of it, you become very near the object of meditation. This is nothing but visualizing and dwelling upon that object of meditation. It is not easy to maintain a visualization because thoughts are constantly changing. Even so, the object of each thought is the same. The object of meditation, that is upasya. It is like the flow of oil, taila dharavat, taila dharavat. Just as you see the same oil at any given point, here too you see the same object of meditation in any given vritti, is even though the vritti is changing. And it keeps flowing for a length of time. It is like if you drop oil from a bottle, from a pout into something, it flows as a continuous stream without any interruption. Similarly, the vritti of when you're doing upasana, it is the same vritti coming in. Here, the upasya is pratyagatma as Param Brahma. The contemplation of these sannyasis is Aham Brahmasmi. For them, Brahman, the Upasya, is non-separate from the Pratyagatma. Thus, they sit with the mind absorbed in Param Brahma the implied meaning of Satya, the implied meaning of Jnana, the implied meaning of Ananta. It is meditation upon oneself as Aksharam Brahma, which is Anirdesha and also Avyakta. These are all negations. At the same time, it is the Swarupa of Atma. Positively, it is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. If you understand all these, you understand Brahman. Upon this Brahman, these sannyasis contemplate Paryupasate. For a sannyasi, the mind dwells upon Param Brahma by Vichara. The object of meditation is for him the object of understanding. It is not exactly meditation because Brahman is not something that is meditated upon as an object for some result. Understanding that Atma is Brahman, Paryupasate has an entirely different meaning. It is seeing again what has been shown through the words of the Shastra. Shravana becomes Upasana. Manana becomes Upasana, as does Nididhyasana. Understanding the Shastra is Shravana. To eliminate any doubt, we have Manana. And to remove the Viparita Bhavana, the opposite attitudes or the Pratibandhakas, because of which there may be difficulty in understanding or in enjoying one's understanding, we have Nididhyasana. The word Upasana is used here for all three of these, but the sense of it is altogether different. It is still valid though, because there is a pratyaya, a kind of cognition involved in dwelling upon Brahman. Yesterday's class was about Brahman. Today's class is about Brahman. And tomorrow it is again about Brahman. Even while eating, everything is Brahman. Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havihi. This is how the sannyasi spends his time, thinking about it. Tat Chintanam, talking about it. Tat Kathanam, and sharing whatever he knows with others. Anyonyam Tat Prabodhanam. This is called Brahma Abhyasa. Because of this kind of commitment to one thing alone, it is said, Paryupasate. They are always meditating. Only the sannyasis can do this. Others have other things to do. Let me know if you want me to read any part of this that I read till now.
Hari Om Brahmaraji, I think this is the answer. Yesterday we were just discussing, no, why sannyasis are given more.
Yeah, that is why Shankara tells them, Tavat Tishtantu, don't compare them, let them be.
Yes,
Because
they
have...
are, yeah.
Go ahead, Pila.
No, you please go ahead, Brahmaraji. They have already become one with the universe and cosmos, because whatever they are, that's what they are saying. That is why they are different, not comparable with the Grihasthis.
They're not comparable with the Karma Yogis, with the Sagunopasakas. These are all Nirgunopasakas, no, sannyasi. So, yeah. So beautiful this is. Yesterday's class was Brahman, today is Brahman, tomorrow is also Brahman. And they spend their time doing just that, tat chintanam, tat kathanam, anyonyam, tat prabodhanam. And the Brahma Bhyasa, that is such a beautiful term, Brahma Bhyasa. That is it, nothing else. But that is a sannyasis, that is what sannyasis do. Pari is prefixed to upasate, giving it the sense of totally committed. That is paryupasate, right? That paryupasate is totally committed. Generally, the word upasana is used only for Saguna Brahma, Ishvara with attributes like omniscience and so on, or the Lord in the form of a particular Devata. That is a true object of meditation. Aksharam Nirgunam Brahma, on the other hand, is to be known, Jnaya. Those who meditate, Paryupasate, upon this Param Brahma should be understood as those who pursue the knowledge of Param Brahma with Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. But I would just like to read the definitions of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana that Swamiji has given. So, Shravana becomes Upasana, Manana becomes Upasana. So, understanding the Shastra is Shravana. To eliminate any doubt, we have Manana. And to remove the Viparita Bhavana, the opposite attitudes or the Pratibandhakas, because of which there may be difficulty in understanding or in enjoying one's understanding, we have Nididhyasana. Can anyone go a little detail in this Nididhyasana? I think I did not quite understand that. What that Nididhyasana is, Viparita Bhavana, Pratibandhakas, that Swamiji is talking about.
Nididhyasana, as I understand it, but of course I have not brought it into practice, is after doing the manana, when you really tease out the wisdom and what appears as the truth for you, you implement it, or you'll start living that truth through your thoughts, words, and deeds. So this is my understanding of Nididhyasana. It becomes an effortless practice of that wisdom. I am not anywhere there, but this is a mental concept I got.
No, I think, in addition to what you said, probably here, what Swamiji is trying to say is, many times what stops us from going deep into meditation and contemplating on Brahman and all is the general perception of the world and all that, right? We think that is real, which is a viparit kind of. One is doubt. Now, doubt and this may be a very slight, subtle difference between the two. So, one is doubt about Brahman itself. So, that may be over a period of time with Shravana and Manana, you can get over it. But going deeper, further deeper, is when no other opposite thoughts come, where it makes you think again, oh, this world is real because of whatever we are going through. That also has to be eliminated to really get into Nididhyasana. This is Nididhyasana on the self, Nirguna, is what I am understanding. It is going beyond just the doubt, going beyond the other opposite things which are very compelling or which may be having deep rooted impressions in us. You have to go even beyond that.
So basically, it is taking care of anatma. Basically, all that is anatma is like a pratibandhaka, right?
Yes, everything that is anatma, yeah.
All those other 6 levels of existence are all our pratibandhakas. Getting caught up in our mind, in our body, in our intellect, memory, and ego. So those, when you are able to also remove, that is what he says, to remove the viparita bhavna, the opposite attitudes are the pratibandhakas, because of which there may be difficulty in understanding. Correct. Or enjoying one's understanding. So up until manana, it is like you're only still in the intellectual level, whereas with the, when you're going to nididhyasana, you're going deeper and you're contemplating about the understanding of the Shastra, so that you are able to revel in it.
Correct. This is going beyond the intellect then.
Beyond the intellect, yeah. Right. Okay. These are not Brahman's gunas but lakshanas. All these words describing Brahman are not to distinguish it from the other Brahmans, but to define it. They are therefore lakshanas. Linguistically, they are adjectives, visheshanani, but functionally they are lakshanani, revealing words. This is so because there is no second Brahman. Sarvatra gam means it goes everywhere. Sarvatra gacchati iti sarvatra gam. It obtains everywhere. Shankara says it is all pervasive like space. Vyomavat vyapi. Everything in creation is pervaded by space, but it does not pervade consciousness. Sorry, everything in space is pervaded, everything in creation is pervaded by space, but it does not pervade consciousness. Consciousness, however, pervades space. It has its being in Chaitanya Atma, which is Brahman. Therefore, there is nothing whatsoever separate from Brahman. It being the cause and all this an effect, an apparent mithya effect. Even space has its being in consciousness alone. It is entirely dependent upon it. Its presence and absence are entirely dependent upon consciousness, whereas consciousness, Atma, is not dependent upon anything, even time and space. Therefore, it is all pervasive. And it is achintyam, not an object of thought. Brahman cannot be objectified. It is that in which all objects have their being. A thought cannot objectify Brahman. But Brahman is the truth of the very thought, though it is independent of thought. Being the Swarupa of the thought, Brahman is achintya, not an object of any thought. Shankara says, what is accessible by the sense organs can be thought of by the mind, because Aksharam Brahma is the opposite of that. It cannot be thought of. It is not only not available as an object of sense perception, even to the Sakshi, the witness, it is not accessible. Why? Because the witness is Brahman. If it is not available in any way as an object, how am I going to know Brahman? Anything that is known is an object of thought, like a pot. No knowledge is possible without a thought objectifying the object in order to know it. No knowledge is possible without a thought objectifying the object in order to know it. So if Brahman is achintya, how is one to know Brahman? The argument is that anything that is known is an object of thought because of the fact that it is known, like a pot. A pot is known and it is an object of thought. True. The extension is that Brahman has to be known and therefore has to become an object of thought. Brahman does have to be known. Otherwise, why study Shastra? Why undertake any spiritual pursuit if it cannot be known? If knowledge of Brahman liberates, but Brahman cannot be known, how can I pursue that knowledge? It is like knowing that a rabbit's horn will cure cancer. It may, but I cannot start searching for a rabbit's horn when I know there is no such thing. Similarly, If knowledge of Brahman is going to liberate me from samsara, but Brahman is not available for knowledge because it is achintya, how can I pursue it? It is important to understand that achintya means not an object of a thought, but it is yourself, the very swarupa of the thought. Being yourself, it is self-evident. All that is needed is to remove the erroneous notions you have about yourself. Atma is not an object to be seen, but the subject mistaken for something else. That mistake has to be corrected. There is a particular vritti which can give rise to the knowledge. I am Brahman. It assumes the very form of Atma so that there is no subject-object relationship. In every piece of knowledge, there is a subject-object division, a knower and an object known. But here, there is no such division. The subject is involved in this knowledge and not as an object. At the same time, the vritti is necessary for only that can destroy ignorance. It cannot be destroyed by consciousness. If it could, I would have no ignorance. This is a very important thing to understand. Swarupa, Chaitanyam, na ajnana virodhi. Consciousness, which is the nature of Atma, is not opposed to ignorance. Neither self-ignorance nor any other ignorance. If you are ignorant of the Chinese language, you are conscious of it, but that consciousness does not affect the ignorance. That is why your self-ignorance can continue indefinitely. What is opposed to ignorance is vritti jnana, knowledge that takes place in the form of a vritti. I don't know about others, but for me it is a little too heavy, the last two paragraphs. Anyway, I will just read and then maybe we can discuss about it. It is said, Manasa eva anudrashtavyam. Only by the mind is it to be known. At the same time, Manasa achintyam. It cannot be thought of by the mind. We have two statements which together amount to saying it has to be known by the mind, even though it is not accessible by the mind. What does it mean? It has to be known by the mind alone, but no mind can ever know it. In fact, it is true and it is explainable. Such statements are not meant to paralyze the reasoning like a Zen koan. I don't know what that is. We'll read what that is, but to reveal the truth. Being the subject, it is not an object of your thought. Yet to know it, the mind must have a vritti, which destroys ignorance with reference to Brahman. It does not have to reveal it because every thought is revealed by that Brahman. The mind has the capacity to reveal an object, and its presence is necessary to know an object. Without it, there are two possibilities. Either you would see everything at the same time or nothing at all. But you do not always see some given thing. Therefore, you require a mind which has vyanjanakatva, the capacity to reveal an object. It has to undergo a particular change to objectify a given object. With reference to Atma, this is not the case because Atma is the one whose consciousness is enjoyed by the mind. For Atma to be revealed, you do not require a means of knowledge to give rise to a thought that reveals it. The thought is seen because of Atma. You are always self-evident, the only one whose existence does not require proof. If the self also requires proof, to whom is the proof to be given? There is no other self. Atma is the only thing in this creation which is self-evident. Every other thing has to become evident to the self for its existence to be proved. Because it is self-evident, it does not need to be illumined. It is the illuminator. All that is required is to remove the ignorance of the self-evident self-being Brahman. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The removal of ignorance occurs in the mind, and therefore it is proper to say that it has to be known by the mind. At the same time, it is not an object of the mind. Paradoxes like these are revealing. They are not meant to stun your reasoning. So Zen Koan is a riddle in the form of paradox used in Zen Buddhism as an aid to meditation and a means of gaining intuitive knowledge. Yeah, so this is beautiful. I mean, some glimpses are there, but if you try to reason it, it becomes unreasonable because it goes beyond logic. Logically, you cannot really explain how Atma is at the same time not an object of meditation. It has to be known by the mind, but you don't need it is not through the mind. It is to
Actually, Brahmaraji,
never know it. Yeah,
what I
yeah,
yeah,
Vijay.
what I gather is it is to be known by the mind by negation. You will have to negate everything else one by one, and then finally what remains is what Atma is. Meaning you have to negate. Look, you can't objectify Brahman. So obviously you can't really know Brahman. But the way to know Brahman is, or realize Brahman, that's not know is not probably the right word. Realize or experience, or I don't know, even that may not be the right word. But negate that body, no, I am not the body. Then all these levels, once you start negating that, that can be done by the mind because those are objectifiable, right? So that we can, with our viveka, we can start saying, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect. One by one, when you do, what remains, that is what Brahman. Somewhat like deep sleep state. Okay, in deep sleep, there is no awareness, but that same state where there's no mind, there's no body, there's no intellect, nothing, deep sleep state. Same state, but with awareness. That's when that realization happens.
Very beautiful. Very nice. Yeah,
It will come. It has to happen. It's something intellectually trying to do too much of what you call intellectual gymnastics won't work. We have to let it
correct.
happen.
Correct. Because it is because of the Atma that even the mind is functioning.
Yeah.
So it is a very reason for the mind. That is why what I think what Ramana Maharshi has said, uh, keep doing the self inquiry. Who is this that is asking this question? Who is this that is having this doubt? Keep questioning that who, and then finally you'll arrive at the answer. So somewhere before this, he said, it is the witness. The witness itself is Brahma, is Brahman.
Correct. So actually, when there's nothing to be witnessed, there is no witness also.
Correct.
Right? There is a witness only if there is something to be witnessed. But if witnessed itself is not there, then there is no witness. So it's actually that stage, yeah, we have to reach there. No, not reach actually, realize it.
Correct. No, it is there. Only thing we have to remove this ignorance about how we are so strongly kind of uh, stuck with the anatma.
Yeah, it's the toughest nut to crack is the ahankar. That I thought has to be sublimated.
Nice.
Hariom, I love the fact that Brahman is Saguna and Nirguna. Here I got clarification that it is not Guna as a feature. It is Lakshana. It is that. And we all are, I mean, a part. So when we say that it is one of the gunas of Brahman, no, it is not a guna. It is a lakshan only. It is that. And it is not another thing. What was my takeaway was that you, I forgot what I wanted to say. That Agnan, Agnan about our body, mind, and other things, ego, whatever, it is not the opposite of Brahman. That was a very a good point for me to take away. It is not opposite. Virodhabhas nahi hai wo.
I just felt amazing to see how slowly we are getting towards it, thinking that yes, I would know it, and then the second thing, you really you don't know it, and how we are falling short of words to even explain, because even the realization, experiencing, these words cannot be used. So we are even falling short of words.
That is what, no? So this one important thing to understand is Swarupa Chaitanyam na Ajnana Virodhi. Consciousness, which is the nature of Atma, is not opposed to ignorance. Neither self-ignorance nor any other ignorance. If you are ignorant of the Chinese language, you are conscious of it, but that consciousness does not affect the ignorance. That is why your self-ignorance can continue indefinitely. What is opposed to ignorance is vritti jnana, knowledge that takes place in the form of a vritti. That is why even in the Atma Bodh, everywhere it is said it is only through knowledge that you can, get a breakthrough. It is only through knowledge, that vritti jnana.
But there again, okay, knowledge up to a point, right? Knowledge is going to just give us an indication of that. But it is for you to really realize you are that, you have to go beyond the knowledge also.
Yeah,
right?
knowledge becomes the kind of unimportant once you are there. No, see that as till as long as if you have a room that is dark, this is an often quoted example, the room will continue to be in darkness till the moment you just put on the light. It is instantaneous. So
Yeah.
no, it is knowledge actually. What ultimately it merges into everything. The knowledge that you get merges with the if we can't call it experience. The knower, the knowledge, and the known, everything merges, becomes only one. You merge in that Advitiya, in the Advaita. So therefore, there are no two at that point.
Yeah, the mind has to shut down, right? That's where then, because all your ahankar also is a thought. So all that, once the mind shuts down, then you are there and you are that. It will happen.
So that is what this I find. Yeah, for me, this one, there were quite a few things, and all of you have so beautifully brought out the the aspects. This thing of it is not, consciousness is not opposed to ignorance, because it runs, it is all pervading. It runs in and through everything, because of consciousness, everything else is. All this mithya, the mithya jagat and anathma, all that is dependent upon the consciousness. So as long as we are ignorant, it will continue. Ignorance can continue indefinitely. That is why ignorance has got, uh, it
It
is
will continue till
yeah,
you get moksha.
till you get that knowledge, till that light of knowledge comes in, you will continue. That is why the vritti jnana is important. Therefore, words, the pramana, Vedas, the shastra, that to give us that vritti jnana, all these words are important. These the shastra vakyas, achintyam, satyam, jnanam, anantam. So they only indicate the actual.
Yeah, so that's where actually there is a point after which, I don't know, somewhere some example is mentioned. No, it's like the pole vaulter, right? He comes and uses the pole vault to jump to a point. Then he has to leave that.
He has to
Right?
leave
That
the pole.
knowledge is like that, right? Knowledge has to take us to a point, and then we have to even drop that, because if we stick with knowledge, then we are still at that intellectual level.
Correct.
We'll
Then
have
what about, sorry.
no, so up to a point, yes, you need that knowledge to know, realize, like negate it. For all that, you need knowledge, right? To know that you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not the. You need knowledge. Shastras and all, with that only, and that antakarna shuddhi that's happening, slowly, we are getting clearer about those things. Then after a point, it's like you have to drop that, and then in that realization state, you don't need this knowledge anymore. Somewhere even in Bhagavad Gita, I think Krishna says this, that after a point, reading the scripture is also of really no use. Doesn't mean it's not important. It's important. But after a point, it's not important. Like the other day, Gurudev was also saying in one of the satsangs or somewhere that he doesn't read anything now. Meaning he is not in, but all knowledge just flows through him. So it's all there. The all knowledge is all there. To tap into it, you have to get into that state where then things will just flow through you. So knowledge is just for you to get up to a point. But if we get stuck there, that also is, they say, a big block. Yeah, we might get stuck there.
It is like how we use soap to wash. Once we use the soap is knowledge here, for instance. It's you could consider knowledge to be soap. You have to wash it off. You can't keep the soap because it's very nice fragrance and this and that. I like it, so I'll keep it on me. No, it has to be washed out. Similarly, also in the yajna ahuti, the rod, that is the stick that is used to rake the fire, ultimately even that is given as swaha, and they put it in the yajna home, in the kunda. So that similarly, knowledge is the one. And like how what Ramana Maharshi said is so beautiful. He says, scriptures and all this thing, bookish knowledge is just like you wanting to drink from a mirage. Can you actually drink from the water of the mirage? That is amount of importance he's given to knowledge. It is important to take us there, but ultimately it has to also be it. There's no choice. I think once you're there, it will just drop. Once you're on that
In this regard, then what jnani and sannyasi would be called? They are also ignorant because still they have not got the moksha. They know they have the knowledge, but they have not realized it, right? So are they also called ignorant?
Hari Om, I just want to bring to the notice the difference between guna and lakshana. Guna means something which you have to imbibe or you have to work for or you have to get yourself. Maybe sadguna, durguna. That is something which can be different. Lakshana is means it is there, it is already pervading, like sugar has the sweetness. You don't need to go and look for that, the sweetness in sugar has to be added. It is already there. So there is no talk about jnana or ajnana, it is already there. Lakshana and Guna, these two words today Swamiji has used, and that has clarified my all the.
Very beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is the nature, the inherent nature, no? Lakshana?
Yes, yes. You don't have to work for, I mean, you can't help it. You are that. Like sugar is sweet. I mean, for sugar, it doesn't have to be, anything to be done for having that sweetness. So in that Satchit Anand is already there. It is our Lakshana. It is there already.
But going back to Mrinal's question, her question was whether sannyasis are still ignorant or have they realized? According to what Shankara has said and what I understand of what my understanding is that they have already they are considered jnanis because they are constantly thinking of just the Brahman. Like for them, if you remember what Swamiji had mentioned, everything is Brahman for them. The sannyasi spends his time thinking about it, that chintanam, talking about it, sharing whatever he knows with others. He does this Brahmabhyasa. So they're always doing that. So when their whole mind is filled with that, it is tantamount to them being Brahman. So I don't think there's a difference. It's not like they still have not realized.
No, so sannyasi is someone who has decided that he will pursue that path of knowledge. But that doesn't mean that he is already realized. Realization will come. Yes, he has a higher chance of realization because his whole focus is on that. But it's not necessary every sannyasi is realized. Surely not. Is what I feel. I don't know. Can't say. But they are on the path.
Correct.
They are on the path on maybe a fast track as compared to many of us. Their track is probably much more clearer for them to reach.
I think that is what Bhagwan is saying. That is Arjuna's question. There is no fast track, slow track here, isn't it? The very first question of the chapter 12, Arjuna asks, are those people who do Saguna Brahma Upasana, between them and those that do Nirguna Upasana, who is greater? So it does not mean a sannyasi who is doing Nirguna Upasana is on a fast track. No. That is what Bhagwan clarifies, no?
No, but yesterday, if you remember, he said to leave sannyasis.
Leave them. Leave the, tavat tishtantu. So that is what Shankara says. That is what even Bhagwan says. There are no comparisons. Because here the term Nirgunopasana is Paryupasate is they are constantly in that, they're reveling in that. I agree with you, Vijayji, that not all sannyasis are realized. But then here specifically, the question was Nirgunopasakas, those that are doing Nirguna Brahma Upasana. And Upasana, if you see, Swamiji had mentioned near. The mind is near that all the time. It is not, it is like that uninterrupted flow of oil. So those that particular kind of those sannyasis who are doing Nirgunopasana are as good as realized. They are not on the path. They're still, it is not, they're not midway. So those specifically that are doing Nirgunopasana are in that Brahma Vritti all the time. So Mrinal, coming to your question, they are already realized. So Arjuna's question is specifically about this. Those that are doing Sagunopasana and those that are doing Nirgunopasana. For that, Shankaracharya says, leave the Nirgunopasakas because they have already reached. It is like he gave an example, I think, in yesterday's thing. Swamiji was talking about someone who wants to attain a degree. You cannot compare someone who has already attained the degree to someone who is still in the path wanting to get the degree. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That
And what is,
understand.
and the sannyasis, the reference of sannyasis is who have realized. Those are the sannyasis. There could be many more people who must be just,
Correct.
trying to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, the reference here is the sannyasis who are doing Nirgunopasana.
No, but okay, maybe a difference of opinion. Look, someone who has realized, he's always realized. It's not like many of us might have glimpses. Okay, at different points in time, you might get glimpses of the Brahman. We all have. One is during our meditations, we might feel that. So, Nirguna Upasakas, maybe who have that experience or that they are in that state for maybe longer periods than many others. But one who is
Not
realized,
longer
then he's
periods,
not.
Vijayji. Not longer periods. They're always in that period. They're always in
No,
that
yeah.
state.
So realized means, yeah, then they are actually in that Brahman consciousness all the time, right?
Correct.
Then there is then he's not a Upasaka anymore.
That is why the term the problem is we have in our concept, even for me, that this was a question I had, this was the doubt I had when we were doing chapter 12, is how can you call an upasaka already realized? Because in my understanding, upasaka is someone who's still in the path. I mean, he's putting in that effort. But then from what I understood today's Swamiji's explanation is they are constantly in that vichara, in that. So they are it is as good as they are Brahman. There's no difference between a nirguno pas, that was what is called paryupasate. See, pari is prefix to upasate, giving it a sense of totally committed.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
So
Then,
I think my understanding is the nirguno pasakas. They're not upasakas in the sense that we commonly understand. Upasana, if you actually look at the word that Swamiji had explained, is being near, close to.
yeah, close to, but there also it says the mind, right? If you
See,
see,
here the upasya is pratyagatma as param brahma. Pratyagatma is the jiva, right? The contemplation of these sannyasis is aham brahmasmi. For them, Brahman, the upasya, is non-separate from the pratyagatma. That is it. They have got that connection. Thus, they sit with the mind absorbed in Param Brahma. The implied meaning of Satya, the implied meaning of Jnana, the implied meaning of Ananta.
okay.
So, I think amongst the sannyasis, there are two sects. We are not talking of those sannyasis who are still, who've taken it up as a lifestyle, but are yet to reach there. They are separate. We are not talking of them. We're talking only of those nirgunopasakas who are constantly in the Brahman consciousness. So they have reached, they have realized themselves. I mean, does that answer your question, Rinal?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
We can clarify this, Vijayji, from
No, fine. No, I was thinking about like someone like Gurudev. Now, what do you call him? Do you call him a sannyasi? Because he's reveling in Brahman?
yeah, he is.
Okay, then fine.
Yes, no.
Because for me, someone who's realized is beyond vichara. There is no mind to constantly revel on something. He's already in Brahma. That what is the mind to do with a person who is realized? That was
That is
my
the
thinking.
Mhm. No, the mind there, they have to mention something, right? They cannot see, for our understanding, they're mentioning mind, but actually they're in no mind. For them, everything merges, everything is only Atma, there's only one for them. Gurudev is constantly in the space of Advaita.
Yeah,
He is,
got it. Yeah, it's maybe a very subtle this matter of
yeah.
just understanding. Yeah, anyway, they are either there or they are almost there, and we all have to get somewhere there.
We all have to be karma yogis. We all have to be, um, even among the karma yogis, there are two categories, no? One is the karma yogi, of course, uh, does pursue. He considers everything as as an offering. He does it with the jnana, um, as a yajna bhava. But even amongst the karma yogis, there are what are the two categories of karma yogis that Swamiji was talking about yesterday? Can anyone just bring that up? See,
Sakama,
one was
Sakama and Nishkama, is it? Are you referring to that?
no, not Sakama Nishkama. He says those that are working are, functioning ethically. They're just following path of dharma is one set. They are not karma yogis. For in order to be called a karma yogi, you have to necessarily take Ishvara as the karma phala data, karma dhyaksha, as dharma. That as concept of Ishvara has to come in for you to be a karma yogi. See, this appreciation of Ishvara indicates there are two. I'll just read this. I'm sorry, you are taking a little time. There are many types of people doing karma. Some are nastikas that are do not believe in God, both ethical and unethical nastikas. The ethical nastikas being superior to the unethical. That's understood. Then there are the believers, astikas, devotees who are worshipping Ishvara and doing their karmas. This appreciation of Ishvara only indicates a certain maturity. So they are superior to the Nastikas. Among them, some resort to Ishvara. Right. There are four kinds of karma
But
yogis. No, the Artha Bhaktas, those that reach out only when they are in distress. Then the Artharthi Bhaktas, those that want to accomplish something. Still better are the karma yogis who want moksha, mumukshus, which means they want Ishvara. And among these are those who not only live a life of karma yoga, but they also do upasana, meditation on Saguna Brahma. These are the best, yoga vittamaha. This is the answer given by Lord Krishna. So among the karma yogis, we are all considered karma yogis. We are all mumukshus. But even amongst those that are doing upasana on Saguna Brahma, they are the best. Yeah, all right. I think we'll stop here today. We've had a very excellent.
Just a minute, please. Karma yogis. Okay. We are talking about karma yogis, not the sannyasis. Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
so karma yogis are of four types: Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Mumukshu. Of those that are Mumukshus doing upasana on Saguna Brahma, they are the best. Fine. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Dhanyavad.